It started with one cryptic post and a single baby emoji that sent the internet spiraling into chaos. Show known for her raw honesty and never backing down from a fight just dropped a revelation that has the entire love and hip-hop universe shaking. In a late-night live session, her voice trembled between fury and exhaustion as she confessed, "I kept this secret for too long, but I can't carry it anymore." Within minutes, fan pages, blogs, and gossip accounts went wild. What secret? Who was involved? And why was she suddenly mentioning Kirk Frost, a man whose name has been tied to nearly every scandal Atlanta has seen since the early 2010s? People thought they'd seen every kind of drama unfold on screen, but nothing could prepare them for what came next. As the comments poured in, K. Michelle hinted that back in 2012, long before the world watched Rashida and Kirk's marriage crumble on TV, something happened behind closed doors that no one knew about. "It wasn't supposed to come out," she whispered, her eyes red from tears. "He made sure it wouldn't." Screenshots started circulating. Old photos resurfaced. And suddenly, a decade-old secret began piecing itself together like a puzzle fans didn't even know existed. In a matter of hours, #KMIC Hellbaby scandal was trending across every platform. People dug into old interviews, archived tweets, and even deleted scenes from the show. Everyone wanted to know, did K. Michelle really have a child back in 2012? And if she did, what did Kirk Frost have to do with it? Sources close to both sides started leaking fragments of information: late-night studio sessions, cash transfers, whispered threats, and one mysterious hospital visit that no one could fully explain. The tension reached a breaking point when K. Michelle allegedly said on her live, "He paid to keep it quiet. And I let him." Fans gasped. Her phone lit up with messages, some from industry friends begging her to stop talking, others from people urging her to spill everything. And just when it seemed like she was about to back down, she looked straight into the camera and said, "I'm done protecting people who never protected me." That one sentence ignited a storm that hasn't died down since. Now everyone's asking the same question: what really happened in 2012? Was there a baby? Did Kirk pay for silence? And if the rumors are true, what does this mean for Rashida, the woman who's stood by him through scandal after scandal? One thing's for sure, Atlanta hasn't seen drama like this in years, and tonight, the truth might finally explode. Stay tuned, because this story is about to take a turn no one saw coming. It all began when K. Michelle's voice note leaked, a raw, unfiltered recording where she could be heard crying and saying, "I can't keep this inside anymore." The recording surfaced on a gossip blog late one night, and within minutes, it was everywhere. Fans replayed it over and over, analyzing every pause, every sigh, trying to decode who she was talking about. Then came the real bombshell. An insider claimed that the voice note wasn't new, it was recorded years ago, sometime around 2012. The same year rumors first swirled about K. Michelle's sudden disappearance from Atlanta's music scene. That was also the year Kirk Frost was seen moving suspiciously, skipping interviews, missing public appearances, and showing up to meetings looking like a man carrying 1,000 secrets. People started putting two and two together, and what they uncovered made jaws drop. According to a close friend of K. Michelle's, she allegedly got pregnant in early 2012 while recording an unreleased project that Kirk was managing off the books. He told her it was better to stay quiet, the source said. He said he'd take care of it, and for a while, he did. As this revelation spread, Rashida's old Instagram posts from that year resurfaced pictures of her and Kirk smiling, celebrating their anniversary, completely unaware of what was brewing behind the scenes. Fans started commenting on those posts again, flooding them with questions. "Did you know about the baby?" One wrote. "How could you not see it?" Another posted. And while Rashida stayed silent publicly, those close to her said she was heartbroken. A source from her glam team claimed she broke down in tears when she saw the clips. She thought the worst was behind them, the insider said, but this reopened every wound. In another twist, someone claiming to be a former studio engineer came forward with shocking details. He said that one night in April 2012, K. Michelle and Kirk were in the studio late. They were arguing about something serious, he said. She kept saying, "You promised me you'd handle it," and he kept telling her to calm down. Hours later, Kirk allegedly left with an envelope full of cash, and K. Michelle didn't return to that studio for months. The engineer admitted he didn't know what the money was for, but after hearing her recent confession, it all started to make sense. Then came the alleged hospital record. An anonymous user sent screenshots to multiple gossip outlets showing a patient file from a small private clinic in Decatur, Georgia, dated mid-2012. The patient's name was redacted, but the emergency contact listed was K. Frost. Fans went wild. They compared handwriting, dates, and even background details to prove it was real. The clinic refused to comment, citing privacy laws, but the damage was already done. Social media exploded with theories. Some said Kirk paid the clinic to destroy the record, others believed he made monthly payments to ensure silence. One fan tweeted, "You can't bury the truth forever. It always finds its way back." As the storm grew, K. Michelle finally broke her silence in an Instagram Live that would change everything. Her voice was steady at first, but emotion began to break through. "People think they know my story," she said, "but they don't know what I've been through. I carried something in my heart for years, and every time I tried to let it go, someone reminded me to stay quiet." When fans flooded the comments, asking who she was talking about, she paused, took a deep breath, and said, "He knows who he is. ATL knows who he is." That was all it took. The internet filled in the blanks. Kirk Frost's name was trending within minutes. From that moment, Kirk's world started crumbling. He tried to act unfazed at first, posting a few motivational quotes and pretending it was business as usual, but insiders revealed he was panicking behind the scenes. He allegedly called several bloggers, offering them money to take down stories. One refused, claiming Kirk said, "This can't come out, not again, not after everything." Even Rashida's team was reportedly urging her to issue a statement, but she refused, saying she wanted to hear the truth directly from K. Michelle before speaking. What came next was pure chaos. A fan claimed to have found old text messages from a second-hand phone once owned by K. Michelle's assistant. The texts allegedly showed Kirk checking in regularly, asking, "You good? And need anything?" One message read, "Remember, it's handled, don't let nobody find out." The assistant, now living in Houston, denied leaking the texts, but confirmed she worked for K. Michelle during that time. She said, "There were nights she couldn't sleep, crying, saying she made a mistake trusting him." Rumors spread that the alleged baby was given up quietly, with Kirk arranging everything to keep it hidden. Some claimed there was hush money involved, while others believed the child might have been raised by a close family member under another name. When a gossip account posted a blurred picture of a young child with K. Michelle's eyes and Kirk's features, fans went insane. Thousands commented, debating whether it was real. "That's Kirk's mini-me," one wrote. Another replied, "Photoshop or not, the resemblance is wild." Amid all the speculation, K. Michelle posted something cryptic again, a black screen with the words, "The truth always wins." That single post reignited the fire. Talk shows started picking it up, YouTube gossip channels flooded the timeline with exclusive sources, and one even claimed to have a DNA envelope from 2013 that was never opened. When reporters reached out to Kirk for comment, he stayed silent. His silence, too many, was an admission. As days passed, more people from that era began speaking up. An old label executive revealed that there had been financial discrepancies around Kirk's accounts in 2012. Large sums labeled consulting fees that didn't match any legitimate contracts. One insider said, "We always wondered what that money was for. Now it's starting to add up." By now, Rashida couldn't ignore it. She was spotted leaving her boutique, wearing sunglasses, visibly upset. Paparazzi shouted questions, asking if she'd seen the live, if she believed K. Michelle, but she kept walking. However, someone close to her family said she privately confronted Kirk that night. She asked him straight up if it was true. The insider shared he said no at first, but then he broke down crying. She just walked away. That confrontation, according to the same source, was the moment their marriage reached its breaking point. But just when fans thought the story couldn't get any more tangled, a new player entered the picture, someone claiming to be the child's godmother. She released a short video online, saying she'd been part of the secret for years. "It's time people know what really went down," she said. A lot of lies were told to protect reputations, but the truth don't stay buried forever." That one video sent everyone into a frenzy, demanding proof, demanding names. Within hours, her account was deleted. But the clip had already been saved, shared, and dissected across every platform imaginable. Now, the city of Atlanta was buzzing with whispers. People in the industry started picking sides. Some defended Kirk, saying K. Michelle was exaggerating for attention, while others said they always knew something didn't add up. Studio owners, managers, producers, everyone had a theory. It felt like the entire entertainment scene was holding its breath, waiting for the next revelation. As night fell and the internet refused to sleep, one question echoed louder than all others. If K. Michelle had truly been silenced for over a decade, what else had been hidden all this time? And if Kirk really paid to keep this secret buried, how much longer could the truth stay in the dark? Because once the cracks begin to show, no amount of money or denial can stop what's coming next. The next morning, Atlanta woke up in chaos. Gossip sites were on fire, talk shows were calling it the biggest scandal since the Stevie J era, and fans were split down the middle. Some were defending K. Michelle, saying she was finally reclaiming her truth, while others accused her of trying to destroy a family. By noon, Kirk Frost's name was trending #1 across the country. People started tagging Rashida in every post, demanding answers. "We need to hear from the Queen," one fan wrote. "We stood by her through every lie. We deserve the truth." But Rashida stayed silent, choosing not to feed the flames, though sources said she was breaking down behind closed doors. In the midst of the storm, an anonymous email landed in the inbox of a popular blogger known for leaking love and hip-hop tea. It contained several blurry photos, allegedly from 2012, showing K. Michelle and Kirk in what looked like a hospital parking lot. She was wearing a hoodie, looking down, and Kirk appeared to be handing something to a man dressed in scrubs. Though the images were grainy, fans believed they were real. One commenter wrote, "That's the same jacket she wore in that old VH1 clip," while another added, "That's Kirk's car right there, look at the rims." Within hours, the photos were shared everywhere. As the online frenzy grew, K. Michelle decided to go live again. This time, she was calm but firm. "I don't owe anybody explanations," she said, her tone steady. "But I do owe myself peace. I didn't make this up. I didn't lie. I lived it." Her comments section blew up with heart emojis, clapping hands, and emotional confessions from fans saying they believed her. "I remember when you disappeared in 2012, one user wrote. "I knew something was wrong." Yet not everyone was supportive. Trolls filled her feed with accusations, calling her a liar and clout chaser. K. Michelle didn't flinch. "Say what you want," she said. "But when the truth comes out, remember this moment." Then she ended the live abruptly, leaving everyone on edge. Kirk's camp, however, was scrambling. A family friend leaked that he'd been calling people non-stop, trying to do damage control. "He's desperate," the insider claimed. "He knows if proof surfaces, it's over." His relationship with Rashida was already hanging by a thread, and this scandal threatened to destroy the entire Frost brand. Their businesses, endorsements, even family ties, everything was at risk. To make matters worse, VH1 producers reportedly started revisiting old footage, digging through hours of unseen clips from 2012 to see if they'd missed any hints of the affair. And then came the voicemail. A mysterious recording appeared online, allegedly from Kirk's old phone, where a man's voice sounding eerily like his said, "Make sure the papers are signed and the money's dropped by Friday." While the authenticity couldn't be confirmed, the timing was damning. Fans were convinced this was the smoking gun. "This is it," one fan wrote. "This is the proof." Kirk tried to deny it in a short statement posted on his story. "People will do anything for attention. Stop believing fake news." But his words didn't land the way he hoped. The internet was convinced he was lying, and every denial only made him look guiltier. Rashida's friends reportedly rallied around her. One of them, who had been on Love and Hip Hop years ago, allegedly told the press, "She's trying to stay strong, but this broke her. She can't believe this might have been going on while she was pregnant with her own child." Fans expressed heartbreak for her, calling her the Queen of Grace and begging her to walk away for good. Even celebrities started chiming in. Spice commented under one post, saying, "ATEL energy getting messy again." Carly Red went live, throwing thinly veiled shade, saying, "When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes." It was pure chaos. But just as the story seemed to settle into scandal territory, another twist emerged. A fan posted a picture of an old mixtape cover from 2012 that listed executive producer K. Frost in the credits. The mixtape, long forgotten, had one unreleased song that K. Michelle never performed live. The lyrics were chilling in hindsight. She sang about a man with a ring who lied about everything and a baby that never saw daylight. Fans dug it up, streaming it millions of times overnight. It hit #1 on SoundCloud, and people began calling it the confession she'd hidden in plain sight. K. Michelle herself reposted a clip of that song to her Instagram story with the caption, "Now do y'all understand?" It was the confirmation fans had been waiting for. Still, Kirk's defenders weren't ready to accept defeat. One of his business associates claimed the song was about someone else entirely, saying, "She's playing the audience, that ain't about Kirk," but the internet didn't buy it. Side-by-side photos, timelines, and even old receipts began circulating. Everything lined up too perfectly to be coincidence. Meanwhile, Rashida was reportedly packing her things. Insiders said she moved into her mother's house for a few days to get space. "She needs time," a close friend said. This one hit different. "She feels like the whole world's watching her pain again." Kirk was spotted driving alone, looking tense, his phone glued to his ear. Paparazzi caught him outside his office building, muttering under his breath. One photo showed him wiping his face, clearly distraught. Later that evening, an unknown account uploaded a short clip allegedly showing Kirk and K. Michelle arguing in a parking garage. In the footage, she can be heard saying, "You think money fixes everything?" And he responds, "It's better than ruining lives." The video spread like wildfire. Though grainy, it matched their voices perfectly. Fans were convinced it was real, and within hours, every gossip site ran the headline, "Kirk caught on camera admitting payoff." With mounting pressure, Kirk's lawyer reportedly advised him to release a statement clarifying his side. But he refused, saying he wanted to handle it privately. Meanwhile, K. Michelle's team hinted that more receipts were coming. One of her stylists tweeted, "She's been quiet for too long. Now it's time." The post was deleted minutes later, but screenshots had already circulated. People started counting down, waiting for the next drop. As night fell, Atlanta felt tense. Every influencer, every artist, every insider was talking about it. People whispered that Kirk had hired a private investigator to track who was leaking information. Some said he even tried to reach out to K. Michelle directly, begging her to stop. She didn't respond. Instead, she posted a single quote, "Once you've lived through hell, you stop fearing fire." Fans took that as a clear sign she wasn't backing down this time. By midnight, even VH1 producers couldn't ignore it. Rumor had it that the network was planning a reunion-style special, giving both K. Michelle and Rashida the chance to tell their sides. Everyone wanted to see if the women would finally confront each other face-to-face, after all these years. It would be emotional, explosive, and unforgettable. Fans flooded comments with "We need this episode," and this would break the internet. And somewhere in Atlanta that night, behind closed doors, Kirk Frost reportedly sat alone. Phone buzzing nonstop, messages piling up. The truth he'd spent more than a decade hiding was now chasing him down in public. One decision made in 2012 had finally caught up to him, and there was no more escaping the fallout. Because as everyone in Atlanta knows, secrets don't stay buried forever, especially when a woman like told to protect reputations, but the truth don't stay buried forever. That one video sent everyone into a frenzy, demanding proof, demanding names. Within hours, her account was deleted. But the clip had already been saved, shared, and dissected across every platform imaginable. Now, the city of Atlanta was buzzing with whispers. People in the industry started picking sides. Some defended Kirk, saying K. Michelle was exaggerating for attention, while others said they always knew something didn't add up. Studio owners, managers, producers, everyone had a theory. It felt like the entire entertainment scene was holding its breath, waiting for the next revelation. As night fell and the internet refused to sleep, one question echoed louder than all others. If K. Michelle had truly been silenced for over a decade, what else had been hidden all this time? And if Kirk really paid to keep this secret buried, how much longer could the truth stay in the dark? Because once the cracks begin to show, no amount of money or denial can stop what's coming next. The next morning, Atlanta woke up in chaos. Gossip sites were on fire. Talk shows were calling it the biggest scandal since the Stevie J era. And fans were split down the middle. Some were defending K. Michelle, saying she was finally reclaiming her truth, while others accused her of trying to destroy a family. By noon, Kirk Frost's name was trending #1 across the country. People started tagging Rashida in every post, demanding answers. "We need to hear from the Queen," one fan wrote. "We stood by her through every lie. We deserve the truth." But Rashida stayed silent, choosing not to feed the flames, though sources said she was breaking down behind closed doors. In the midst of the storm, an anonymous email landed in the inbox of a popular blogger known for leaking love and hip-hop tea. It contained several blurry photos, allegedly from 2012, showing K. Michelle and Kirk in what looked like a hospital parking lot. She was wearing a hoodie, looking down, and Kirk appeared to be handing something to a man dressed in scrubs. Though the images were grainy, fans believed they were real. One commenter wrote, "That's the same jacket she wore in that old VH1 clip." While another added, "That's Kirk's car right there, look at the rims." Within hours, the photos were shared everywhere. As the online frenzy grew, K. Michelle decided to go live again. This time, she was calm but firm. "I don't owe anybody explanations," she said, her tone steady. "But I do owe myself peace. I didn't make this up, I didn't lie, I lived it." Her comments section blew up with heart emojis, clapping hands, and emotional confessions from fans saying they believed her. "I remember when you disappeared in 2012, one user wrote, I knew something was wrong. Yet not everyone was supportive. Trolls filled her feed with accusations, calling her a liar and clout chaser. K. Michelle didn't flinch. "Say what you want," she said. "But when the truth comes out, remember this moment." Then she ended the live abruptly, leaving everyone on edge. Kirk's camp, however, was scrambling. A family friend leaked that he'd been calling people non-stop, trying to do damage control. "He's desperate," the insider claimed. "He knows if proof surfaces, it's over." His relationship with Rashida was already hanging by a thread, and this scandal threatened to destroy the entire Frost brand. Their businesses, endorsements, even family ties, everything was at risk. To make matters worse, VH1 producers reportedly started revisiting old footage, digging through hours of unseen clips from 2012 to see if they'd missed any hints of the affair. And then came the voicemail. A mysterious recording appeared online, allegedly from Kirk's old phone, where a man's voice sounding eerily like his said, "Make sure the papers are signed and the money's dropped by Friday." While the authenticity couldn't be confirmed, the timing was damning. Fans were convinced this was the smoking gun. "This is it," one fan wrote. "This is the proof." Kirk tried to deny it in a short statement posted on his story. "People will do anything for attention. Stop believing fake news." But his words didn't land the way he hoped. The internet was convinced he was lying, and every denial only made him look guiltier. Rashida's friends reportedly rallied around her. One of them, who had been on Love and Hip Hop years ago, allegedly told the press, "She's trying to stay strong, but this broke her. She can't believe this might have been going on while she was pregnant with her own child." Fans expressed heartbreak for her, calling her the Queen of Grace and begging her to walk away for good. Even celebrities started chiming in. Spice commented under one post, saying, "ATEL energy getting messy again." Carly Red went live, throwing thinly veiled shade, saying, "When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes." It was pure chaos. But just as the story seemed to settle into scandal territory, another twist emerged. A fan posted a picture of an old mixtape cover from 2012 that listed executive producer K. Frost in the credits. The mixtape, long forgotten, had one unreleased song that K. Michelle never performed live. The lyrics were chilling in hindsight. She sang about a man with a ring who lied about everything and a baby that never saw daylight. Fans dug it up, streaming it millions of times overnight. It hit #1 on SoundCloud, and people began calling it the confession she'd hidden in plain sight. K. Michelle herself reposted a clip of that song to her Instagram story with the caption, "Now do y'all understand?" It was the confirmation fans had been waiting for. Still, Kirk's defenders weren't ready to accept defeat. One of his business associates claimed the song was about someone else entirely, saying, "She's playing the audience, that ain't about Kirk." But the internet didn't buy it. Side-by-side photos, timelines, and even old receipts began circulating. Everything lined up too perfectly to be coincidence. Meanwhile, Rashida was reportedly packing her things. Insiders said she moved into her mother's house for a few days to get space. "She needs time," a close friend said. This one hit different. "She feels like the whole world's watching her pain again." Kirk was spotted driving alone, looking tense, his phone glued to his ear. Paparazzi caught him outside his office building, muttering under his breath. One photo showed him wiping his face, clearly distraught. Later that evening, an unknown account uploaded a short clip allegedly showing Kirk and K. Michelle arguing in a parking garage. In the footage, she can be heard saying, "You think money fixes everything?" And he responds, "It's better than ruining lives." The video spread like wildfire. Though grainy, it matched their voices perfectly. Fans were convinced it was real, and within hours, every gossip site ran the headline, "Kirk caught on camera, admitting payoff." With mounting pressure, Kirk's lawyer reportedly advised him to release a statement clarifying his side. But he refused, saying he wanted to handle it privately. Meanwhile, K. Michelle's team hinted that more receipts were coming. One of her stylists tweeted, "She's been quiet for too long. Now it's time." The post was deleted minutes later, but screenshots had already circulated. People started counting down, waiting for the next drop. As night fell, Atlanta felt tense. Every influencer, every artist, every insider was talking about it. People whispered that Kirk had hired a private investigator to track who was leaking information. Some said he even tried to reach out to K. Michelle directly, begging her to stop. She didn't respond. Instead, she posted a single quote: "Once you've lived through hell, you stop fearing fire." Fans took that as a clear sign she wasn't backing down this time. By midnight, even VH1 producers couldn't ignore it. Rumor had it that the network was planning a reunion-style special, giving both K. Michelle and Rashida the chance to tell their sides. Everyone wanted to see if the women would finally confront each other face-to-face, after all these years. It would be emotional, explosive, and unforgettable. Fans flooded comments with "We need this episode," and this would break the internet. And somewhere in Atlanta that night, behind closed doors, Kirk Frost reportedly sat alone. Phone buzzing nonstop, messages piling up. The truth he'd spent more than a decade hiding was now chasing him down in public. One decision made in 2012 had finally caught up to him, and there was no more escaping the fallout. Because as everyone in Atlanta knows, secrets don't stay buried forever, especially when a woman like K. Michelle decides she's done being silent. 2 days later, Atlanta was still on edge. Every radio show, every podcast, every gossip segment was talking about the same thing: K. Michelle's secret baby and Kirk Frost's alleged cover-up. Even people outside the reality TV circle started chiming in. Major blogs picked it up, calling it the most shocking revelation in love and hip-hop history. Fans were losing sleep, waiting for new updates. Everyone wanted to know, was K. Michelle about to show proof? Would Kirk finally speak? Or was Rashida going to walk away for good this time? The tension felt electric, like everyone was standing on the edge of something explosive. Around noon, a video leaked that changed everything. It showed K. Michelle sitting on a couch in what looked like her home. Wearing a plain hoodie, no makeup, her face tired but determined. "Y'all want proof?" she said softly. "Fine. Here." She held up a small baby bracelet, faded with time, the name tag blurred, but the year clearly stamped: 2012. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "This is real. This is mine." Within seconds, the internet caught fire. The clip spread across Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. The hashtag #KMICHellBaby trended worldwide. Fans were in shock. "I got chills," one wrote. "She's been holding this pain for over 10 years. Kirk's response came a few hours later, and it only made things worse. In a short video recorded from his car, he looked tense, voice defensive. "People say anything for attention," he muttered. "Y'all want me to talk about something that never existed? I'm not doing that." His tone was dismissive, almost angry. Fans didn't buy it. "If it never existed," one commented, "why you look like you haven't slept in 3 days. Others pointed out that he didn't directly deny knowing K. Michelle that closely, he just avoided the question entirely. It looked like guilt. That night, a close friend of K. Michelle's named Tanya went live. She claimed to have been by her side during those painful months in 2012. "I was there when she was scared, when she was crying, when she didn't know what to do," Tanya said through tears. "She was young and trusting. He was powerful, older, and he promised her everything would be okay." She paused, wiping her face. "But when it all went down, he disappeared. He told her, 'You can't ruin my family.' And she listened. She let him control the story." The comments went wild. Some fans sent messages of support, while others demanded receipts. Tanya ended the live saying, "The truth always finds its way out, even if it takes a decade." Rashida, meanwhile, was spotted arriving at a church in Atlanta, wearing dark glasses and surrounded by family. Reporters yelled questions as she walked past. "Are you leaving, Kirk? Did you talk to K. Michelle?" She said nothing. Her silence spoke volumes. A friend of hers later told a gossip outlet that she was done being embarrassed. The source added, "She's been humiliated too many times. This might finally be it for her." Fans flooded her latest post with hearts and prayers, calling her strong, calling her a survivor. But others warned her not to fall for apologies again. "Don't let him spin another story," one fan wrote. "This time, walk away." By the third day, the scandal had become too big to ignore. A major entertainment news outlet published a long investigative piece, connecting the dots between financial records, hospital logs, and insider accounts. The report claimed Kirk had made several large cash withdrawals in mid-2012, totaling over $40,000 days before K. Michelle allegedly disappeared from Atlanta's music scene. The journalist wrote, "While no direct proof of payment has surfaced, the timing and amounts are highly suspicious." The article went viral. Even mainstream outlets picked it up. Suddenly, it wasn't just gossip, it was news. K. Michelle posted again, this time an old photo of herself sitting in a hospital bed, face turned away from the camera. "I was scared," the caption read, "but I survived." The comments were filled with love, but also confusion. People begged her to clarify. "Where's the child now? Did you raise the baby? What happened after?" She didn't respond. Instead, she pinned a comment that read, "Some secrets aren't mine to tell anymore." That single line made fans think maybe the child was out there alive, grown, maybe even unaware of the full story. The mystery only deepened. Kirk's camp, meanwhile, started blaming hackers, claiming photos and messages were fabricated for clout. But as more people stepped forward, it became impossible to dismiss. A nurse who worked at a private Atlanta clinic in 2012 came forward anonymously, saying she remembered seeing both of them that year. "He came in looking nervous," she said. "She looked like she'd been crying. They didn't want anyone to know." Though the clinic denied any record, the nurse's words added fuel to the fire. As all of this unfolded, old Love and Hip Hop cast members started commenting too. Mimi Faust posted a cryptic message, "Karma, don't miss a name." Erica Dixon wrote, "So many of us saw things we couldn't speak on back then." Those posts sent fans into overdrive. People began speculating that multiple cast members might have known the truth all along. "They covered for him," someone tweeted. "They all knew." Then, a video leaked from what looked like an old VH1 production meeting. In it, K. Michelle could be heard arguing with a producer, saying, "Y'all protect men like him, but when I speak up, I'm the problem." The producer tried to calm her down, telling her the show wasn't ready for that kind of storyline. It was obvious she'd tried to talk about the situation years ago, but was silenced. "They buried her story," one fan tweeted, "and now it's coming back to haunt them." Rashida, after days of silence, finally broke down in a quiet Instagram story. She didn't speak directly, but her eyes were red. A song played in the background, Beyoncé's Resentment. The lyrics said everything she didn't. I tried to forget this, but I'm too full of resentment." Within minutes, fans knew what that meant. The Queen had spoken without words. As night fell, Kirk was photographed driving to a hotel downtown, alone, no ring on his finger. Insiders claimed he'd been kicked out of the house. One said, "She told him to leave until he figured out what kind of man he wants to be." The same night, K. Michelle was spotted performing at a small venue in Nashville, emotional but radiant. Before singing, she told the crowd, "Pain can't silence me anymore." The audience cheered, shouting her name. She smiled through tears, saying softly, "Thank you for believing me." But the biggest twist was still to come. Just as fans thought the storm might settle, a popular gossip vlogger released what they called the final piece. It was an email screenshot allegedly showing Kirk wiring money to a private law office in 2012 with the subject line, "Consultation and Confidentiality." Though unverified, it matched the exact date the previous cash withdrawals were made. The vlogger ended the video saying, "If this is real, it's over for him." Fans flooded the comments, calling it the nail in the coffin. Within hours, Kirk deactivated his Instagram. His comment sections had turned into a war zone. People were calling him every name imaginable. "You ruined your family," one wrote. "You bought silence but couldn't buy peace." Others defended him, saying it was all too convenient, that someone was out to destroy him. But no one could deny how perfectly every piece of this puzzle seemed to fit together. And so, Atlanta buzzed through the night, unable to turn away. K. Michelle had lit a match, and the flames were spreading fast. Behind the scenes, everyone wondered what would happen next. Would Kirk confess? Would Rashida finally speak publicly? Or would another secret, even darker, come to light? Because in this city, the truth doesn't just surface, it explodes. And the night wasn't over yet. The silence that followed was heavier than the humid air outside. The Atlanta club that night when the first whispers about K. Michelle's secret baby began to spread like wildfire. Across every table, every phone, every group chat that had her name in it, people thought it was just another rumor. Another piece of drama meant to stir attention before her next project dropped. But what no one expected was how quickly the story would take a life of its own. The next morning, the blogs were flooded screenshots, voice notes, blurred out baby pictures, and even an alleged birth certificate that had K's name halfway visible under a red hinted in her own stream, Let's just say some folks been paying hush money for a long time. Within minutes, that line became the quote of the day. Blogs reposted it with bold headlines: Carly confirms hush money in Kirk scandal. And then came the receipts. A private screenshot surfaced, showing an old Cash App payment from a contact saved as FrostBiz, with a note reading for the doc. Though the date was unclear, people speculated it was linked to hospital bills. Some thought it was fake, but others claimed the details matched the pattern of Kirk's old business transfers. Once TMZ got hold of it, the story escalated beyond entertainment. Gossip. It became a national scandal. News anchors were now saying Kirk Frost and K. Michelle in the same sentence on morning TV. The Frost family was under siege. Kirk's mother reportedly refused to speak to him, saying she raised him better than this, while Rashida's relatives urged her to leave. She, however, stayed quiet, which only fueled more sympathy from fans who saw her as the loyal wife caught in endless betrayal. Meanwhile, K. Michelle's silence began to shift from sorrow to defiance. She posted a studio clip where she sang a haunting line, "You hid my pain in your pride. But truth don't die," and fans immediately labeled it a diss track. Blogs called it the lullaby for the secret baby. The lyrics were raw, too precise to be coincidence. One producer even revealed she'd recorded the song years ago, but never released it because someone powerful asked her to hold it. That someone, the producer hinted, wasn't just a man, it was a network executive. Speculation exploded that VH1 itself had been aware of the situation and buried it. To avoid destroying their most profitable couple's storyline, insiders whispered about sealed NDAs, quiet payouts, and legal threats disguised as confidential agreements. People were horrified and fascinated at once. By the third day, paparazzi managed to corner Kay outside a restaurant. Cameras flashed, reporters screamed questions, and she finally stopped walking long enough to say, "You can't erase truth just because it makes you uncomfortable." She didn't clarify anything else, just walked away as flashes burned her face. That single line became the quote of the week, replayed across every platform. Kirk, on the other hand, was nowhere to be found. Sources said he'd checked into a hotel downtown under another name, trying to figure out how to salvage his image. Rashida reportedly threw him out after a screaming match that lasted hours. Neighbors claimed they heard glass break and a car peel off. One even recorded part of it, posting it anonymously with the caption, "A towel drama too real." That clip reached 1 million views overnight. While Kirk tried to disappear, a new angle emerged. Supposed cousin of K. Michelle gave an exclusive to a gossip podcast, claiming she had personally seen the baby in 2012. "I remember that night clear as day," she said. "We were in Memphis, and she was scared. She said the father was someone who couldn't be seen with her. I didn't ask no questions, but the way she cried, you could tell it was real love turned sour." The interview went viral. People now demanded proof. Photos, hospital records, anything. Then, as if on cue, a grainy image began circulating, showing a woman resembling K. Michelle holding a newborn wrapped in a blue blanket. The watermark read 2012 Regional Medical Memphis. Fans split into camps. Some said it was her. Others swore it was photoshopped. The noise reached VH1 headquarters, forcing them to issue a brief statement. "The rumors involving our cast are personal matters not affiliated with the network," but by saying that, they only made it worse. Everyone interpreted it as a veiled confirmation. Soon, old love and hip-hop producers started speaking anonymously, saying there had been tension between Kay and Kirk during filming years ago, moments that were edited out to avoid controversy. One described a scene where Kay reportedly broke down crying after an off-camera confrontation, whispering, "He knows what he did." That line resurfaced now with chilling relevance. The situation spiraled when Kirk's former assistant dropped a voice note on a gossip page, allegedly from 2013, where a man sounding like Kirk said, "As long as she keeps quiet, we're good." The page blurred his name, but fans recognized the voice instantly. The backlash was nuclear. Kirk's business partnerships began to crumble overnight. A fitness brand paused its collaboration. His social media was flooded with snake emojis, and even Rashida's store got review bombed by angry fans calling for her to leave him. Amidst this chaos, a surprising twist came when a woman identifying herself as a former nurse from the hospital where the alleged baby was born messaged a blog claiming she remembered a famous patient under a fake name that matched Kay's initials. Though she offered no proof, her message reignited the storm. Meanwhile, K. Michelle's emotional health was reportedly deteriorating. She stopped showing up to events, her team canceled appearances, and insiders said she'd been journaling again, writing her truth in private before the world hears it. Fans rallied behind her, trending hashtag we believe KMIC hell across platforms. Yet, even as support grew, others began questioning motives. Why now? What did she gain from reopening a buried wound? And where was the child in all this? Rumors surfaced that the child, now around 11 or 12, lived outside the country with relatives to avoid public exposure. Some said Kirk had sent money abroad for years to keep things quiet. TMZ even hinted they were tracking down those payments. Every hour, a new leak surfaced: texts, photos, whispers, deleted posts. It was endless. Then came the most shocking leak of all, an email thread allegedly between Kirk and an attorney discussing guardianship consent. If true, it meant he had legally acknowledged the child years ago, but hid it behind closed documents. Though authenticity couldn't be confirmed, the story took on a life bigger than truth. By now, every talk show host had an opinion, every podcast dissected motives, and every fan demanded closure. Yet, in the middle of this media storm, K. Michelle posted one final image, a dimly lit photo of a small pair of shoes sitting on a piano. No caption, no explanation. Within minutes, the comments filled with crying emojis and heartbroken fans writing, "We understand now." Some saw it as a tribute, others as confirmation. Kirk's silence remained deafening, and Rashida's new post simply read, "God sees all," which everyone interpreted as her subtle revenge. The city of Atlanta hadn't seen this much scandal since the earliest days of reality TV. But this time, it wasn't just entertainment, it felt like a confession wrapped in a lifetime of pain. By nightfall, everyone knew that no matter what Kirk or VH1 said next, the world would never look at them the same again. Because in the court of public opinion, the verdict was already decided. The days that followed K. Michelle's mysterious photo of the tiny shoes on the piano became a whirlwind of non-stop speculation, as if Atlanta itself had caught fire and no one could put it out. Every outlet, from gossip blogs to major TV networks, tried to piece together what this meant, while fans dissected every pixel, every shadow, every hint of context, claiming it was a subtle confirmation that the child was real, alive, and that the truth she had been holding on to for over a decade was finally leaking into the public sphere. Meanwhile, Kirk Frost's attempts to regain control were failing spectacularly. He was photographed leaving a hotel late at night, hoodie up, face tense, avoiding eye contact with the paparazzi who had camped outside for hours. And insiders claimed he was on the phone with lawyers, crisis managers, and even VH1 executives, frantically asking how to suppress the narrative. But the genie was already out of the bottle, and every action he took only fueled the story further, with leaked audio clips surfacing of him whispering over speakerphone, "I don't care what it costs, I need this contained," which the internet immediately interpreted as proof he had been involved in keeping K. Michelle silent all these years. Meanwhile, Rashida's silence became a weapon of its own. Fans flooded her socials, tagging her with questions, pleading for clarification, and even creating polls and threads asking if she knew about the baby, whether she was complicit, or if she had been kept in the dark. While she responded only with vague inspirational quotes and a single red heart emoji, which everyone interpreted as a subtle acknowledgement that she had felt betrayed and humiliated. And every cryptic post added layers to the drama that the public could not resist unraveling. The story reached a fever pitch when an anonymous tipster sent multiple screenshots to a popular entertainment news channel showing a series of encrypted messages between K. Michelle and a private investigator hired in 2013, indicating that attempts had been made to verify paternity quietly and arrange a settlement to prevent the story from ever surfacing. And these messages contained references to specific sums of money, dates, and locations that matched previous reports of unexplained withdrawals from Kirk's accounts, which the bloggers immediately dubbed the smoking gun. And the photos of these messages spread like wildfire, prompting news hosts to bring up the scandal during live segments, leading to heated debates between anchors, with one host exclaiming, "If these are real, this is one of the biggest cover-ups in reality TV history," and another countering, "But can we trust screenshots without verification?" Yet the public had already made its verdict. And social media erupted with hashtags like hashtag KMIC, HellTruth, hashtag KirkFrostExposed, and hashtag RASHEEDA deserves answers. As the days rolled on, new voices entered the fray. Former cast members from Love and Hip Hop started leaking snippets of their own, claiming they had seen private conversations, odd behaviors, and unusual trips that coincided with the timeline in 2012, all pointing to something hidden, something everyone had quietly acknowledged but never wanted to discuss, while others claimed they were protecting K, that they were sworn to secrecy by producers who feared losing ratings. And these insider accounts only fueled the frenzy further, making it impossible for Kirk to regain any semblance of normalcy. And even Rashida was reportedly seen meeting with a high-powered attorney, fueling speculation she was preparing for her own legal or public response. Meanwhile, K. Michelle seemed to oscillate between deliberate silence and cryptic teases, posting vintage clips of herself performing, with captions like "Some truths are louder than words" or "Time has a way of showing everything," which fans interpreted as confirmations that she was ready to reveal the full story at the right moment, but not before preparing herself emotionally and legally. And the timing of these posts was scrutinized by bloggers who noted that she was dropping them strategically right before Kirk or Rashida posted anything, as if controlling the narrative in small doses, keeping the public and media off balance, craving more. The tension escalated further when a leaked phone call allegedly between Kirk and an unnamed associate surfaced, where Kirk could be heard saying, "She's about to destroy everything we built if this gets out. Make sure the files are gone," which only amplified the firestorm. And although the authenticity of the recording was disputed, the internet did not wait for verification, creating theories, memes, and endless debate threads, while fan groups divided into factions, some defending Kirk, claiming he was being framed, others rallying behind K. Michelle as a victim of decades-long manipulation and cover-ups. Simultaneously, investigative journalists began digging into old bank statements, flight records, and private medical documents, publishing their findings in incremental updates that made it impossible for any casual follower to keep up, turning the story into a full-blown saga that felt more like a thriller than reality TV gossip. And soon, even mainstream outlets were reporting it, framing the scandal as a case study in secrecy, power, and betrayal within celebrity circles, while simultaneously noting the human element, the trauma, and the resilience of K. Michelle, who had endured years of scrutiny, threats, and isolation while keeping this secret. By the following week, a documentary crew reportedly approached K. Michelle with an offer to tell her story in full, promising to focus on her perspective, her struggles, and the hidden child. And insiders claimed she was considering it seriously, though she remained cautious, knowing that any misstep could reignite Kirk's legal battles or further complicate Rashida's already fragile position. At the same time, the child's existence became a point of obsession online, with fans speculating about age, gender, and even location, creating elaborate theories about who the child might be and how the events of 2012 had shaped their life, while others argued that privacy must be respected and urged K. Michelle not to involve the child publicly. Yet every cryptic post, every old photo, every subtle hint she dropped fed the frenzy. Meanwhile, K. Michelle's live performances began to change in tone, incorporating songs that alluded to betrayal, secrecy, and hidden truths, causing fans to theorize that her music was being used as a subtle storytelling device, revealing details that she could not yet or would not openly discuss. And clips from these performances went viral, garnering millions of views, further cementing her status as the central figure in this decade-long scandal, finally spilling into public view. As Atlanta simmered with gossip, Kirk Frost reportedly became increasingly reclusive, canceling appearances, deleting social media posts, and hiring additional legal counsel, while Rashida was said to be in consultation with crisis managers, photographers, and even image consultants to manage her public perception, all of which made fans speculate that the fallout could lead to permanent rifts, legal battles, or even dramatic public confrontations that everyone knew would dominate headlines if they happened. Meanwhile, new leaks continued to surface almost daily, from alleged private messages where Kirk admitted to covering up payments, to hotel check-in logs, to blurred photos of hospital corridors from 2012, each item feeding the theory that a well-funded and long-term cover-up had taken place, while K. Michelle's measured responses, combined with occasional social media teases, maintained an almost cinematic tension that kept the public on edge, waiting for the next revelation, the next confirmation, or the moment she would finally speak outright. The story grew more complex as multiple parties, including former assistants, friends, stylists, and even casual acquaintances came forward anonymously, providing fragmented accounts that, when pieced together, painted a picture of emotional manipulation, secrecy, and a web of unspoken agreements, leaving the public both horrified and captivated, while pundits, bloggers, and fans dissected motives, timelines, and emotional cues, debating who had been victimized, who had been complicit, and who had orchestrated the deception that had allowed a secret baby to remain hidden for over a decade. Until now. And through it all, K. Michelle's presence loomed over every conversation, every news cycle, every social media thread, as the woman at the center of the storm who had endured years of silence, only to now wield the ultimate power of truth slowly, deliberately, and with an emotional intensity that had the internet captivated, the fans divided, the family conflicted, and the reality television world holding its breath for the next chapter in a saga that promised to be remembered for years as one of the most dramatic, heartbreaking, and shocking revelations in entertainment history. The tension surrounding K. Michelle's secret baby reached a fever pitch as the weeks dragged on, and every public appearance, every social media post, every subtle gesture was analyzed to death by fans and bloggers, who felt like they were witnessing the unraveling of a decade-long mystery in real time. K. Michelle, once a quiet figure who carefully guarded her personal life, now moved like a strategist in a high-stakes game, choosing what to reveal and what to leave to speculation, posting cryptic lyrics on Instagram and TikTok, teasing glimpses of old photos, and leaving hints about hospital visits, late-night phone calls, and whispered conversations that had taken place behind closed doors in 2012, all while carefully avoiding directly naming Kirk Frost or anyone else involved. Yet everyone knew who she meant, and the internet exploded with commentary, memes, and debates over every nuance, from the lighting in her posts to the wording of her captions. And each day brought a new twist, a new leak, or a new insider story that added layers to an already complex drama. Meanwhile, Kirk Frost was reportedly struggling to contain the damage as legal teams scrambled to analyze potential exposures. Threats of non-disclosure breaches circulated, and former associates whispered to gossip outlets about late-night meetings, sudden cash transfers, and private arrangements that had been made to keep the baby hidden from public view, all of which painted him as both desperate and trapped. And even Rashida, whose silence had initially suggested disinterest or ignorance, began to attract suspicion as fans speculated about what she might have known, when she had known it, and whether she had been complicit in any of the arrangements. While her social media presence oscillated between cryptic statements, inspirational quotes, and occasional photos with sunglasses and forced smiles, all of which fans read as subtle admissions that she was aware of the unfolding scandal and perhaps struggling with her own emotional conflict regarding loyalty, betrayal, and public perception. As the story grew, new insiders appeared, claiming first-hand knowledge of events that had been obscured for years, including a former production assistant who described a night in 2012, when K. Michelle had been visibly upset after a private confrontation with Kirk, and how she had confided in close friends about the existence of a child, adding further credibility to rumors that had until then been dismissed by skeptics. While audio snippets allegedly captured from conversations between Kirk and an unnamed party surfaced, featuring him discussing financial arrangements and secrecy protocols, which only fueled speculation about how far he had gone to maintain control over the narrative, and whether anyone else had been involved in facilitating or concealing the truth. In the middle of this chaos, K. Michelle's artistic output began reflecting the drama more explicitly, with new songs, performances, and interviews hinting at hidden truths, heartbreak, and betrayal, giving fans the impression that each verse, each lyric, was a carefully coded message about the events of 2012 and the people involved, while talk shows and podcasts dissected every line, trying to decode hidden meanings and cross-reference them with leaked documents, social media posts, and eyewitness accounts. And some fans even began compiling timelines that cross-checked her lyrics with documented events, attempting to reconstruct the story from a decade ago in real time, which only intensified the frenzy and the sense that the public was witnessing a slow-motion revelation of a carefully concealed scandal. At the same time, the alleged child's identity remained the most hotly debated topic, with speculation about age, gender, location, and even schooling dominating comment sections, while privacy advocates warned against intrusion. Yet the sheer momentum of the story made it impossible to ignore, and every tip, every blurry photo, every anecdote added fuel to a fire that showed no sign of dying down. Kirk's public absence only amplified the drama, with fans noting cancelled appearances, deleted posts, and rumored attempts to meet privately with legal advisors, crisis managers, and even network executives, while leaked messages suggested desperation, including alleged texts to former cast members and insiders pleading for discretion, and audio clips purportedly of phone calls where he muttered, "I can't let this come out, it'll ruin everything," which circulated online as proof of his anxiety and the high stakes involved. Meanwhile, Rashida's social media activity drew intense scrutiny, with analysts dissecting the timing, phrasing, and imagery in her posts, interpreting them as either tacit support for K. Michelle, subtle condemnation of Kirk, or cryptic commentary on her own complicity, and her carefully curated online persona became a battleground for interpretation, with fans divided between defending her, criticizing her, and theorizing about what she had witnessed over the years. All while K. Michelle remained the enigmatic focal point, gradually revealing more through music, visuals, and carefully timed statements that kept the public's attention locked in anticipation of a full disclosure. As the weeks turned into months, the story evolved into a media phenomenon, attracting national news coverage, interviews with former insiders, and social media campaigns demanding transparency, while blogs, podcasts, and talk shows produced daily analyses of leaked documents, supposed financial records, and eyewitness accounts, creating a dense web of information, speculation, and rumor that made it nearly impossible to separate fact from fabrication. Yet the emotional weight and resonance of K. Michelle's hints ensured that the narrative felt credible to millions of viewers, who hung on every post, every performance, and every cryptic statement. In parallel, reports surfaced that legal negotiations had been quietly ongoing, with high-powered attorneys representing multiple parties, seeking to manage the fallout and potential financial liabilities, including payments allegedly made in secret to maintain silence, and agreements that may have bound former associates and production staff to strict confidentiality, all of which fueled further speculation about the lengths to which Kirk and others had gone to conceal the truth. While fans and critics debated the morality, legality, and ethics of decades-long cover-ups, and the story became a touchstone for discussions about power dynamics, celebrity privilege, and the intersection of personal trauma and public spectacle. Through it all, K. Michelle's demeanor remained poised yet intense, with occasional emotional bursts during performances and interviews that suggested both the burden of years of secrecy and a newfound empowerment in controlling her narrative. While every hint she dropped caused immediate spikes in online engagement, trending hashtags, and viral discussion threads, and the combination of music, social media, insider accounts, and ongoing leaks created a layered, immersive drama that captivated audiences, dominated headlines, and kept all parties K. Michelle, Kirk, Frost, Rashida, and countless insiders entangled in a complex, high-stakes story whose resolutions seemed both inevitable and endlessly deferred, as each new revelation, post, or leak propelled the saga forward, ensuring that the secret baby of 2012 remained the centerpiece of one of the most talked about, emotionally charged, and intricately layered entertainment scandals of the decade, leaving fans, critics, and the media alike in a perpetual state of anticipation, speculation, and awe at the unfolding drama, and making it clear that K. Michelle had not only survived years of secrecy and manipulation but was now dictating the pace, tone, and impact of a story that had been hidden for far too long, with every move she made serving to deepen the intrigue, heighten the tension, and maintain the public's fascination as the decades-old secret gradually emerged from the shadows into the glaring light of public scrutiny. The story of K. Michelle's secret baby continued to escalate beyond anyone's expectations, consuming the internet, social media, blogs, and news outlets in a frenzy that seemed impossible to contain, as every small revelation led to an avalanche of speculation, leaked messages, and alleged eyewitness accounts that only fueled the sense of scandal and intrigue. Fans dissected every post, every song lyric, every live clip, searching for hints, and even minor details such as a bracelet, a tattoo, or a blurred reflection in a mirror became evidence to support theories about the child's existence, identity, and location, while the atmosphere surrounding Kirk Frost grew increasingly tense as rumors suggested that legal and financial pressures were mounting, with insiders claiming he had been sending urgent messages to lawyers, production executives, and former associates in an attempt to suppress evidence, manage public perception, and prevent K. Michelle from revealing any further details. Yet every move he made was scrutinized, leaked, or interpreted as proof of guilt, causing a spiral of panic, secrecy, and public outrage. Simultaneously, Rashida's role in the drama drew unprecedented attention, with fans debating whether she had known, been complicit, or simply a bystander caught in a web of secrecy, and her social media behavior was examined under a microscope. Cryptic posts, delayed responses, and staged images were all seen as potential signals, while insiders whispered about tense conversations between her and Kirk, emotional confrontations behind closed doors, and moments of silent frustration and anger, all of which added layers of complexity to a story that had become more than just celebrity gossip, evolving into a saga about secrecy, betrayal, loyalty, and the consequences of long-hidden truths. Meanwhile, K. Michelle continued to navigate this storm with a combination of strategy, emotional expression, and cryptic communication, carefully posting lyrics, performance snippets, and subtle images that hinted at her story without fully revealing it, keeping fans, media, and the public engaged in speculating, while former cast members and insiders provided additional perspectives, some claiming to have seen her in distress during filming in 2012, others recounting overheard conversations, financial transactions, and hospital visits that aligned with the timeline, creating a complex tapestry of evidence that made the story feel simultaneously real, sensational, and deeply personal. The public obsession intensified when leaked documents allegedly surfaced, showing supposed non-disclosure agreements, financial transfers, and legal communications intended to manage secrecy. And these files were quickly circulated online, analyzed, and debated, even as the authenticity of some remained unverified, because in the court of public opinion, the perception of truth mattered as much as fact. And each new piece of information sent shockwaves through fan communities, gossip blogs, and media outlets alike, while debates raged about morality, legality, and the ethics of keeping such a secret for over a decade, and whether the responsibility lay with Kirk, Rashida, or the industry as a whole. As this whirlwind of revelation and speculation continued, K. Michelle's public appearances and artistic work began to reflect the emotional weight and complexity of her experience. With performances, interviews, and music videos containing lyrics, visuals, and gestures that fans interpreted as coded references to the baby, the secrecy, and the emotional toll, sparking viral analysis, fan theories, and social media debates, while talk shows and podcasts invited insiders to comment, offering fragmented accounts, hearsay, and speculation that only deepened the intrigue and kept audiences captivated. And every live performance or social media post became an event, dissected for potential clues, hints, or admissions, with fans creating timelines, theory maps, and visual analyses in an attempt to reconstruct events from 2012 to the present. Meanwhile, the alleged child's identity and circumstances became a central focus, with speculation about age, gender, location, and relationships dominating online discourse. And although some voices urged caution and respect for privacy, the sheer momentum of the story made restraint almost impossible, and every new post, hint, or insider account added fuel to a fire that seemed unstoppable, while legal and financial complexities continued to unfold, with reports of secret payments, confidential agreements, and potential breaches of non-disclosure obligations circulating online, causing debates about legality, ethics, and the lengths to which involved parties had gone to manage the narrative and protect reputations, further intensifying the drama and keeping all eyes on K. Michelle, Kirk Frost, and Rashida. As the weeks progressed, new revelations surfaced, including alleged voice notes, email threads, and private communications that hinted at planning, secrecy, and the emotional burden carried by K. Michelle for years. And these leaks, whether verified or not, created a continuous cycle of attention, analysis, and speculation, drawing national media coverage, public debates, and viral social media engagement. While K. Michelle's careful orchestration of her public persona ensured that she remained at the center of attention, commanding the narrative, teasing revelations, and maintaining control over how and when information was disclosed, creating an intricate interplay between truth, perception, and media representation that captivated audiences and sustained interest over months. Simultaneously, Kirk Frost's public absence, cancelled appearances, and sporadic statements fueled further speculation about his involvement, legal exposure, and personal struggles, while Rashida's measured silence, punctuated by occasional ambiguous posts, continued to generate debate about her awareness, complicity, and emotional position in the unfolding drama. And the interplay between their actions and K. Michelle's strategic disclosures created a narrative tension that felt both cinematic and intensely real, driving engagement, discussions, and ongoing fascination across multiple platforms. The combination of leaked evidence, insider testimonies, social media analysis, fan speculation, and K. Michelle's controlled reveals transformed the story from a hidden personal secret into a sprawling cultural phenomenon, a case study in secrecy, power dynamics, and emotional resilience, captivating millions, dominating headlines, and generating unprecedented discussion about celebrity, privacy, and the consequences of long-concealed truths. As audiences dissected, debated, and speculated on every detail, from financial records and hospital visits to lyrical clues and subtle gestures, and every new day brought additional fragments of information, fresh leaks, and renewed media scrutiny, ensuring that the saga remained alive, compelling, and emotionally resonant, while K. Michelle continued to navigate the storm with strategic intelligence, emotional authenticity, and a mastery of timing that kept her in control of the narrative, cementing her status as both central figure and storyteller in a scandal that had captivated the public imagination for years, and would continue to do so as long as she chose to reveal, hint, and guide the revelation of her secret baby and the tangled web of events surrounding its concealment and eventual disclosure. The story of K. Michelle's secret baby continued to dominate headlines, social media feeds, and fan discussions as every new development seemed to escalate the drama and deepen the public's obsession, with analysts, bloggers, and casual fans alike poring over every post, every lyric, every performance, and every cryptic gesture for clues that might shed light on the decade-long secret that had now exploded into the public sphere. K. Michelle herself became both a subject of fascination and a master of narrative control, carefully curating her appearances, her social media posts, and her music to maintain suspense, reveal partial truths, and hint at deeper stories, while refusing to provide outright confirmation or details, forcing fans and media to speculate wildly about the identity, age, gender, and current circumstances of the child, and whether Kirk Frost had been complicit, coerced, or merely caught in the crossfire of a revelation he could neither stop nor fully control. Meanwhile, Kirk Frost's attempts to manage the fallout appeared increasingly desperate, with reports surfacing of late-night legal consultations, emergency meetings with former associates, and frantic efforts to delete or suppress communications, photographs, and records that might substantiate K. Michelle's claims. Yet each of his moves only seemed to fan the flames, as fans and media interpreted them as signs of guilt, panic, and the lengths he had gone to in order to maintain secrecy. And Rashida's own role became a focal point of discussion, with her cryptic social media activity, vague statements, and carefully framed images leading some to speculate that she had long known of the child and perhaps played a part in the concealment, while others defended her, claiming she had been kept in the dark, a bystander to a scandal orchestrated by powerful forces beyond her control. The intensity of the narrative grew as insider accounts emerged, some from former cast members, assistants, or production staff who claimed to have witnessed emotional confrontations, secret meetings, or financial arrangements intended to maintain silence, while others offered speculation about off-camera dynamics, edited scenes, and selective storytelling that had shaped public perception for years, creating a layered, multifaceted drama that blurred the lines between reality, perception, and conjecture, and fueling discussions about the ethics of secrecy, the pressures of fame, and ethics of secrecy, the pressures of fame, and the consequences of hiding a child's existence from the world for over a decade. Concurrently, fans began analyzing K. Michelle's music with renewed fervor, examining lyrics, music videos, and live performances for hidden meanings, references, and emotional cues that might confirm details of her story, while social media exploded with theories, timelines, and comparisons to past interviews, photographs, and public appearances, creating a complex, interactive investigation in which every observer felt they had a role to play in uncovering the truth. And each minor clue, an expression in a video, a caption on Instagram, a subtle gesture in a performance was dissected, debated, and interpreted as part of a larger puzzle that fans were desperate to solve. At the same time, leaked documents, screenshots, and audio clips allegedly surfaced online, purporting to show financial transfers, legal correspondence, and private communications that supported K. Michelle's claims. And though authenticity was often disputed, the public's imagination and desire for revelation transformed each leak into headline news, viral social media content, and fodder for endless discussion, as journalists, commentators, and fans weighed in with theories, interpretations, and emotional reactions, keeping the story alive and continuously evolving, while K. Michelle maintained a careful balance of withholding, revealing, and guiding the narrative, ensuring that public attention remained fixed firmly on her and the unfolding saga. The alleged child's identity and life circumstances became a particularly intense focus, with speculation about where they lived, how they had been raised, who had been involved in their life, and whether they even knew about the public revelation, leading to debates about privacy, ethics, and the responsibilities of parents and guardians in situations where fame, secrecy, and decades-long concealment intersect. And each new post, hint, or statement from K. Michelle was scrutinized for indications about the child's well-being, location, and relationship with their parents. while the interplay between fact, rumor, and interpretation created a constantly shifting narrative that kept fans, media, and insiders engaged, emotionally invested, and eager for the next revelation. Kirk Frost's continued absence from public life, combined with sporadic statements and alleged behind-the-scenes maneuvering, contributed to an atmosphere of suspense, as observers speculated about legal exposure, emotional turmoil, and the lengths to which he might go to protect his reputation or limit the disclosure of sensitive information. While Rashida's own calculated, enigmatic social media presence kept audiences guessing about her knowledge, motivations, and feelings, creating an intricate web of personalities, loyalties, and secrets that ensured the story remained compelling, unpredictable, and deeply engaging. In addition, reports emerged that various production teams, legal advisors, and industry insiders had been involved in attempts to manage or suppress information over the years, raising questions about the role of networks, producers, and behind-the-scenes players in controlling narratives, shaping public perception, and influencing the disclosure or concealment of personal stories, and fueling broader debates about accountability, ethics, and the intersection of personal privacy with public entertainment, as audiences considered the implications of decades-long secrecy and the strategies used to maintain it, while simultaneously following K. Michelle's carefully orchestrated revelations and the unfolding consequences for all parties involved. K. Michelle's strategic use of social media and music as tools of communication and narrative control allowed her to gradually assert dominance over the story, revealing details in measured doses, teasing confirmations, and shaping public perception while keeping certain aspects hidden, thereby controlling both the emotional impact and timing of disclosures, and ensuring that fans remained engaged, speculative, and invested in the story, while Kirk Frost, Rashida, and other implicated parties struggled to respond effectively, manage public perception, and navigate the legal and personal fallout of revelations that had suddenly come to light after more than a decade of secrecy. The saga became a cultural phenomenon, inspiring discussion across television, radio, online forums, and social media platforms, as analysts, fans, and commentators debated the moral, ethical, and emotional dimensions of the story, while reconstructing timelines, examining leaked documents, and connecting public statements, performances, and subtle clues to build their own interpretations of the truth. And each new day brought additional content posts, leaks, interviews, and insider reports that added depth, nuance, and intrigue, reinforcing the narrative that K. Michelle had been carrying, a long-hidden truth that had now become a defining moment in reality television history, celebrity culture, and public discourse. Simultaneously, the alleged child's existence remained central to the drama, with speculation, theorizing, and analysis dominating conversation threads, as fans attempted to reconcile the child's purported presence with historical events, public appearances, and the emotional experiences of K. Michelle, while debates about ethics, privacy, and responsibility intensified, highlighting the complex interplay between celebrity, secrecy, and the consequences of long-concealed truths. The combination of strategic revelation, careful social media management, leaks, insider accounts, and fan-driven investigation transformed the story into a immersive narrative that blurred the boundaries between reality, perception, and speculation, creating an ongoing saga in which K. Michelle, Kirk, Frost, Rashida, and other participants navigated a high-stakes environment defined by secrecy, revelation, and public scrutiny, and in which the dynamics of power, loyalty, and emotional truth played out in real time, captivating audiences, driving engagement, and sustaining fascination over months as the story unfolded, ensuring that the narrative of K. Michelle's secret baby would remain a defining and widely discussed chapter in contemporary entertainment history, with each development reinforcing the drama, intensifying speculation, and keeping all eyes focused on the evolving saga and the central figure, whose long-hidden secret had finally begun to surface in the public eye. And now, after weeks of revelations, leaks, and intense speculation, the story of K. Michelle's secret baby has taken on a life of its own, leaving fans, insiders, and media outlets alike struggling to keep up with each new twist, every subtle post, and every cryptic lyric. And as the drama continues to unfold, one thing is clear: you, the viewer, are at the center of this whirlwind, witnessing history in real time, analyzing clues, debating motives, and forming your own opinions about what truly happened back in 2012, and who was involved. And while the story may be sensational, it is also deeply human, touching on themes of secrecy, betrayal, resilience, and the power of truth finally coming to light. And as you consider the implications, the choices made, and the emotional stakes for K. Michelle, Kirk Frost, Rashida, and all those affected, it becomes impossible to remain passive, impossible to ignore the questions of morality, loyalty, and the cost of concealment that have been raised throughout this saga. You might find yourself asking, how would you handle a secret that had the potential to change everything? How would you respond if your private life, hidden for over a decade, suddenly became public knowledge? Would you remain silent, strategically revealing details as K. Michelle has? Or would you confront the truth head-on, bracing for backlash, judgment, and exposure? And as you reflect on these questions, it's important to recognize the broader implications of this story, not just for the celebrities involved, but for everyone who has ever navigated secrecy, trust, and public perception. Because in watching this unfold, you are not only consuming entertainment, you are witnessing a case study in human behavior, in strategy, in the complexities of relationships, and in the emotional weight of truth finally emerging after years of concealment. So here is where you come in, where your voice, your opinions, and your engagement matter. Because this story is not just about K. Michelle or Kirk Frost or Rashida, it is about the community of fans, commentators, and observers who have followed every leak, every cryptic post, every dramatic turn, analyzing, theorizing, and speculating. And your perspective adds a layer to this cultural phenomenon, shaping conversations, influencing interpretations, and participating in a dialogue that is as much a part of the narrative as the events themselves. And that's why your input is crucial. We want to hear what you think about the revelations, the alleged cover-ups, the emotional stakes, and the possible futures for everyone involved. So comment below with your thoughts, your theories, your reactions, because every comment fuels the conversation, engages the community, and helps others see multiple perspectives on a story that is complex, dramatic, and full of nuance. And as you do so, remember to like this video to show your support for content that dives deep into the drama, dissects the layers, and brings you closer to understanding the full scope of what has been happening behind the scenes for over a decade. Subscribing is equally important, because by subscribing, you ensure that you will be part of this unfolding saga from start to finish, receiving updates, new analyses, and future videos that continue to explore the drama, the secrets, and the shocking developments as K. Michelle, Kirk Frost, Rashida, and other insiders navigate the consequences of truth, secrecy, and revelation. And your subscription is more than a click, it is a commitment to being part of a community that watches closely, thinks critically, and engages deeply with the stories that capture the public's imagination. As you like, comment, and subscribe, consider sharing this video with friends, family, and fellow fans, because the more people who engage with this story, the richer the conversation becomes, and the more perspectives we have, the more we can collectively examine the motives, the actions, and the emotional realities of everyone involved, while also acknowledging the broader cultural significance of celebrity, privacy, and the impact of long-concealed secrets finally coming to light. And while we celebrate the thrill, the suspense, and the shocking twists of this story, it's also important to reflect on the human element, the emotional resilience required to carry a secret for over a decade, the courage to reveal it strategically, and the potential consequences for relationships, reputation, and personal well-being. Because these are not just characters on a screen, they are real people navigating complex emotional landscapes. And your engagement helps to humanize the discussion, bringing empathy, analysis, and awareness to a story that is as emotionally compelling as it is sensational. So take a moment to weigh in, to add your voice to the conversation, to theorize, hypothesize, and speculate responsibly, because in doing so, you become an active participant in the unfolding narrative, helping to shape not only public perception but also the ongoing dialogue around celebrity culture, secrecy, and revelation. And by staying engaged, you ensure that you will be present for every new post, every interview, every leak, and every performance that adds to the rich tapestry of this ongoing drama, keeping you at the forefront of one of the most talked about stories of the decade. In conclusion, the saga of K. Michelle's secret baby is far from over, and your participation through likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions is essential to understanding, analyzing, and engaging with every layer of this complex, emotional, and shocking narrative. And as you continue to follow along, remember that your opinions, insights, and engagement matter, shaping not only how the story is discussed, but also how the cultural conversation around celebrity, secrecy, and truth evolves. so join the discussion, make your voice heard, and stay tuned for the next chapter in a story that has captivated millions, dominated media, and revealed the power of truth, timing, and strategy in the world of entertainment. Because in this saga, you are not just a viewer, you are part of the conversation, part of the cultural moment, and part of the unfolding history of a scandal that will be remembered for years to come.